Hi, welcome to Chard Review. What happens when a high school girl switches bodies with the middle-aged serial killer? A lot of clapping. So the film kicks off with Jenny, Evan, Isaac and Sandra, a squad of teenagers who clearly haven't seen enough horror movies. They're chilling around a campfire, Denny's house, swapping ghost stories and roasting marshmallows. The story of Joyce, the legendary butcher, a serial killer with a serious case of the crazies, who hasn't been caught yet. But don't worry, it's just a legend, right? Isaac, playing it cool, decides to spook Sandra, causing her to spill her drink all over herself. Her wardrobe rescue with Isaac on her tail to say sorry. Once inside, Isaac gets distracted by Denny's dad's antique art collection because who doesn't love dusty relics? He spots a unique dagger chilling in a crate and can't help but take a look. Meanwhile, Sandra's on a quest for some cleanup supplies. When Isaac leaves the dagger on the counter and ventures into the basement, he discovers a stash of vintage wine and grabs a bottle, but is startled by a sudden noise and drops it. Classic or movie mistake. Out of nowhere, the butcher appears and gives Isaac a lethal wide bottleneck tie. Poor Sandra gets the bathroom. The bush treatment in her school meets the toilet seat in a not-so-refreshing encounter. Evan and Ginny are blissfully unaware, having a good time, as if they're living in a rom-com, but not for long. Ginny walks away unimpressed by Evan's antics, and the butcher introduces Evan to his new best friend, a tennis racket to the head. Ginny, now in full panic mode, dashes into the mansion to play a high-stakes game of hide and seek. The butcher launches a spear in her direction, but he must have skipped his morning coffee because he misses. Ginny sneaks into a closet and finds a secret door, like she's in Narnia or something. She hears her parents return home and breathes a sigh of relief. Too soon? Jenny the butcher has other plans and gives her personal spear hug against the wall. And to top it off, he swipes an ancient dagger on his way out. Fast forward to Millie, the girl just trying to enjoy breakfast with her mom and cop sister, Charlene. Things have been tense since their dad passed away, but Millie's trying to keep it together. She gets called into work and in a fit of passive-aggressive pettiness, tosses their breakfast in the trash, uncovering an empty liquor bottle because family drama pairs well with breakfast ride. Charlene rolls her eyes as she catches her mom hitting the sauce again. He's auditioning for the next Real Housewives of Dysfunction. Later, Millie heads to school with her squad, Nyla and Joshua, ready to face another day in teenage jungle. At school, Millie's wardrobe becomes a target of a wannabe Regina George named Ryler. It's all Gucci, though, because Millie's too busy crushing on Booker, the human embodiment of heart eye emojis. Later, Millie rocks up late to her carpentry class, and Mr. Fletcher, the teacher who probably picked in high school, gives her a verbal smackdown. As if that's not enough, when Millie can't give her a presentation, he humiliates her in front of the whole class, earning him the Worst Teacher of the Year award in Millie's book. Suddenly everyone's phones buzz with an emergency alert, like a bunch of caffeinated bees. 4 students were brutally clapped last night and there's a serial killer on the loose. But hey, it's homecoming, so the party must go on, right? Millie goes all out in her school mascot gig, but some football jocks decide to taunt her, proving they have the IQ of a football. Later, Millie says her goodbyes and waits for her mom to pick her up. But surprise mom's out cold on the couch after one too many cocktails. Charlene gives her a wake-up call, but Millie's phone dies, leaving her stranded. Soon Millie spots a masked man across the street and she's convinced he's the butcher. Classic horror movie move. She hides under the bleachers. Millie thinks she's safe, but nope. The killer pops up like an unwanted YouTube ad. She tries to run, but he catches her faster than an iPhone battery drains. The butcher whips out an ancient dagger in its gem, glows like a discount glow stick. He stamps Mainly's shoulder but gets wounded too, like some twisted. Charlene shows up just in time to fire a warning shot, and the confused butcher books it at the police station. Millie's low-key freaking out. The ancient dagger Dola is now evidence, and its magic is about to get wild. That night at Lowe's, Milito sleep, and she wakes up. Looking around, she touches her chest and confusion. Meanwhile, the butcher wakes up in an old mill, also acting rather weird. Doll's witchcraft. His body swapped them. Billy's now a 6.5-foot Sarala killer while the butcher's trapped in a teenage girl's body. Back at Millie's house, the butcher and Millie's body is struggling to blend in, but he's got one goal. He grabs a knife. Eyes on Charlene, but Millie's mom swoops in taking the weapon, oblivious. She has no idea that her daughter's body is now a deadly Airbnb. She just chalks everything up to her daughter going through some trauma. Too scared to cry, she leaves it at that. Meanwhile, Miles out here playing hide and seek with the butcher's body, the poor girl struggling. 408. I mean, whose gym class prepared her for this? Not to mention the guy's mug is all over the news, courtesy of Picasso from the precinct. And wouldn't you know it, some eagle-eyed civilian spots him and Millie's off to the races. Now this is where it gets spicy. The butcher is having a grand old time in Millie's body. Seriously, he's making her look like she just stepped off a Vogue cover. Her body style and Joshua approach her would get snubbed. It's like he's suddenly the cool kid in school. And when Ryler, the typical opportunist, shows up, the butcher doesn't bat an eyelash. Instead he's like, hey, let's hang out. Now I can, casually kill you. Meanwhile, Miller's sneaking to the school showers, trying to scrub off the scent of kitty pee from her new borrowed body. She's oblivious, the chit-chat happening in the locker room between Ruler and the butcher posing as her, the butcher playing the long game should just rather that she had in a cryo tank. Ryler, not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, follows the advice. After her shower, Millie stumbles upon a popsicle Riddler who, let's just say, breaks rather easily. Later, Butchers merely attends a wood shop class where Booker gets a finger reduction butcher as Millie helps by attempting a little first aid by mouth. Fletcher catches them, he tells off Millie for her finger food antics. Meanwhile, Joshua and Nyla are chilling, waiting for their friend. Suddenly serial killer bodied Millie shows up and understandably, they freaked out. Millie's like, hey, it's me, but now is instinctive. Cake to the family jewels merely tries to convince them, but they're not buying it. Instead, they turn their kitchen into a DIY weapons factory and Millie, not quite used to her new Hulk strength, accidentally hurts them. Eventually everyone's tuckered out from the WWE tryouts and they take a breather, Millie says at the moment, and bust out her secret weapon, her stellar mascot ballet. Moves a quiz about Millie-specific trivia later, and her friends are finally convinced it's really her. They relocate to the boys' bathroom for story time, where Millie spills the beans about the Aztec sacrificial dagger. Joshua, a master Googler, learns that they've got 24 hours to reverse the body swap or they're stuck like this forever. Meanwhile, Millie is making the most of her new body and gives her bully a taste of his own medicine. Let's just say he had a bit of a wet experience. Finally, Joshua and Nyla regroup with Millie, determined to find the dollar before the sands of time run out. But first they got to stop the butcher from turning Millie's body into a serial killer's paradise. So get this, our Paul the Butcher casually strolls back into Carpentry 101 with a vendetta against Mr. Fletcher, with a Braveheart and a screwdriver, does his best to fend him off, but alas, he's no match for the butcher's meaty might and is seen straight out of a B-grade horror movie. The butcher gives him a screwdriver necktie, and then kindly introduces him to the business end of a circular saw. Exiting the classroom, the butcher spots the fuzz doing the rounds. No sweat, he thinks as he bumps into Joshua Nyla and the genuine Millie. Faster than you can say help. The cops are after. Millionaire crew are unlikely heroes. With the road, was Charlene hot on their tail? Where to hide? Discount Bonanza, of course. The sanctuary of discount goods and Millie's mom. They find a locker room to hide in as Joshua, now Lego undercover as fashion stylist, trying to find Millie a proper disguise. Now Millie's mom starts a heart-to-heart. Through the locker door, Millie learns about her mom's feeling about her Down's death. And here's where it gets sitcom-worthy. Mama Millie, moved by the manly voice on the other side of the door, has him out for coffee. Millie panics, fumbles out of lie about being married. Saved by Charlene, they make a quick exit, leaving Millie with a mask and impaired vision in a twist of modern detective work. Joshua pulls up Instagram and finds the butcher's location, courtesy of a selfie-happy frat boy. The butcher, meanwhile, is chilling with football jacks at the arcade, planning a makeshift prom at the old mill. When Brett, one of the boys, steps out of line, the butcher whispers sweet nothings into his ear before grabbing a Swiss Army knife and belining it for the haunted house. Booker, our knight in shining armor, smells a rat and rushes off the fan. The trio arrive at the arcade eager to keep Booker from ending up as the butcher's next side of beef. It quick swing of a golf club for Millie takes care of that with Booker, woozy and confused. They decide the safest place for him is unconscious. Back at Joshua's house, they tied the butcher to a chair. Had enough to make Houdini swat while Joshua plays jailer. Nyla, Booker and Millie head off on a daring mission to the police station. So now it takes a quick turn as the butcher's latest victim luring her out when she's solo. She hustles to grab the doll from the evidence locker. The plot thickens over Joshua's. His mom walks in, more than a little curious about why Millie's trussed up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Joshua offers a white lie about a game, but mom's not buying it. She strides over, knife in hand, to free Millie, but Butcher's already untied and snatches the knife. The Benny Hill music. As the butcher chases them around the house, Joshua manages a daring escape into a room, slamming the door. But back at the station now he's got the dollar, but Charles back in her spidey senses tingling. She orders Nella to drop the doll and give it a golden fashion kick. Meanwhile, romance is blooming in the car. Booker comes clean about his crush on Millie and they share a kiss, awkward considering Millie's currently wearing the butcher's face. Suddenly they spot the butcher wearing Millie's body like a Halloween costume heading into the police station. Millie in the butcher's skin, of course, follows. Charlene doesn't miss a beat and shoots. Chaos ensues with Nylon the butcher scrambling for the dollar. The butcher gets the upper hand and the tagger slashing Niles' hand in bowling. Joshua almost ends up his road nose. The butcher speeds off. Charlene tries to wrangle millions of the holding cell, but Bunker's distraction gives Millie the chance to lock Charlene in and make a break for it with the gang. They're off to the old mill prom, but the clock's ticking. Booker sets a timer 13 minutes until Millie stunk as the butcher forever. They split up to find the butcher currently chilling with Bread and company. The boy tried their best moves on him, not knowing he's got a different kind of action in mind. He cracks a bottle over one's head, slits another's throat, and gives Bread a close encounter with a chainsaw. Booker merely stumble upon the grisly scene and Booker splits to town. A la Joshua, meanwhile, fends off advances from Phil, the football player, because he's got no time for love, Dr. Jones. Suddenly, a hook tears through the wall, impaling Phil's eye. Millie swoops in, saves Joshua, and they rally annihilate to the cause. Booker OPs to stay back, playing decoy for the incoming cops. Millie tries for a Hail Mary, stabbing the butcher to get her body back, but a cop shoots the dagger out of her hand. In the chaos, the butcher grabs the dagger and Bolt now is hot on his heels, tackling him to the ground. Joshua seizes the ancient dagger and passes it to Millie. She takes the plunge, having her own body and reclaiming it from the butcher. The cops arrive just in time, pumping the killer full of lead. As the officers scoured the scene for evidence, Millie and Booker get cozy, capturing a romantic moment on film. But the butcher is not done yet. He's whisked away to the hospital, where he thinks his own death by slipping off the pulse oximeter on his finger. Back in Millie's house, she finds the back door ajar. Figuring her sis forgot to close up shop, she turns around, only to come face to face with the butcher knife at her throat. Charlene to the rescue. She pumps the killer full of lead, or so she thinks. The butcher's a step ahead, stealing all the bullets. Millie's mom comes in, swinging, bashing the butcher's head with a bottle. Charlene scrambles to reload, but the butcher knocks her out or she can finish milligrams, a knife, but falters. Lacking the courage to finish the job, the butcher grabs her arm and smacks her in the head as he talks. Millie sees her chance to nail him where head counts. Charlene lands the killer blow with her chair and Millie seals the deal with the wooden stick to the heart. The butcher falls to his knees, rip in peace for good. Moral of the story: I can't believe they dragged Vince Vaughn into this. If you like the video, please like and subscribe for more movie review. See you next time.